pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kathleen. Let me know. Thank you. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, did everybody receive a copy of the minutes from March 28th and have a chance to review them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'm gonna change the whole order right now of the agenda so that we can get Karen McComb up here from the library president to give a report, because she has to go back and boil maple syrup. So we're gonna kind of change it for, so go ahead, Karen.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much. You each should have a copy here of the 2021 report to the community. It's similar to last year's. My creative juices were not flowing well enough to change it. The only thing that's changed are the numbers, but I'd like to, first of all, preempt it by saying, you know, in 2020, we were in the throes of COVID. By 2021, the vaccination came out, I believe, around May or so. So things were starting to open up. There were still a lot of restrictions and things like that. People were slowly starting to come out. So it was very hard to do a comparison of 2020 with 2021 because of the variables involved. So what I had done, even though these percentages could be somewhat skewed based on that, based on those numbers that of no one coming out during COVID, some people coming out after the vaccination became available. 7,117 people actually visited our library, which was 25% more than the previous year. What did go down, however, was the number of resident card holders and non-resident card holders, especially the non-resident card holders did go down more significantly. We did, however, have an increase in the number of items circulated by 30% from the previous year, but we decreased the number of items in our collection by 2%. And that decrease is mainly in the number of hard books that we carry versus the previous year, but an increase in number of children's books. So that it sort of signifies the fact that the children are coming in and taking out books where the adults perhaps are using more ebooks and more audio books or reading books on their tablets, which they can download through the cell system. But the children are still taking out books and physically reading physical books. The adult books, like I say, we did increase a few of them, but mostly we increased our children's books collection by 41% because of the fact that more were being circulated. And that's something that the collection committee looks at. What are the types of books that are being circulated? What keeps our patrons interested in coming in and the types of books that they're taking out? The e-books increased 17% over the previous year, so more people are reading books electronically. The library is still an important resource, but I think over time, and this has been a valid concern that our libraries needed because of the hard book collection. Well, not necessarily the hard, we're always going to be there. There's always going to be people who want to read a hard book, but the electronic books are increasing. Children's books, they're going to be adults someday, so they might change their venue as well. But it's still nice to see children's reading books. We did have, let me see, because the vaccination started in May, more programs were held in the previous year. And the Lego Club started up again, which we didn't have the previous year. The story time started up again, which we did not have in the previous year. So those things, trying to get the school children involved, they were starting to come again. where the previous year they did not. So that was good. 89% more people actually came into the library for events, board meetings. The dance and art classes started up again last year, and different community groups using the library. More people are using our Wi-Fi. That was up 20% from the previous year. And 43% more people came in to use our computers than the previous year. Again, that's a little bit skewed because people were not coming out. So that it's a skewed figure. However, 43% more people, you say, well, that sounds great, we really need all these public computers because people are coming in and using them. However, the year before they were told to stay home. So it's a skewed figure, but it's still a number that we have to report. I think next year will be a good indication of what's really happening.
Yes.
And I look forward to those numbers much more, because I think that will tell us a lot. Sherry has written a letter in there to be included. I just wanted to make a comment on that. She references our federal depository program, which is going as slow as the federal government can possibly move. As you can see, it's not getting very far. Apparently there's more digitally that can be accessed. We are the only library in Hamilton County that has public access to a lot of these documents. People who are into history and reading documents from the past or the congressional record have a great resource in very easily being able to do that. Hopefully, and she keeps touching base with the person who's in charge of this, we'll be getting more hard copies that we can put on the shelf. And we had to allocate a certain number of space in order to be considered for the program. So we couldn't just do one little section like this. So we had to make this space in anticipation of them eventually sending us more things. They have wonderful children's publications, and I'm really anxious to get those. They're now like how to grow a tree, and why does a caterpillar do what it does? I'm just using that as an example. But they have a lot of informational things for children as well. So as you look at these shelves, keep in mind that it's not our fault that it's this way. It's the rapid influx of federal. Yeah, exactly. Well, just to give an example, I filed for it's totally out to track, but I'll just take a minute. I filed for a letter of incorporation for the Historical Society in August, I think it was August 13th of last year. I called the other day and they just got it on the desk.
Isn't that terrible?
From August, I think it was August 13th. I had the exact date that I had sent that in. And it has taken me maybe 18 phone calls to either get an answer. They said you can email us. I emailed them, did not get an answer. I'm sorry, we cannot take your call at this time. We have staff shortages. Finally got somebody on the phone the other day because I was doing something else and kept it on, so like 20 minutes later, somebody did. It's just.
Remember those days?
Yeah, so that's,
persistent.
so I think it's across the board.
Yep.
Oh, I think
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so again, I appreciate the support of the town board. I think our library is doing well. John Foley will be starting his landscaping as soon as the ground is conducive. He is going to trim our lilac bush that we love, and start on the front and open up our landscaping on the side. I think that's a big enhancement, so look great. And again, we did get most of that funded through a sales grant.
Nice.
So, we're very pleased. Does anybody have any questions as to what we're doing or going forward? Got a couple of people here who I can't answer it, somebody else can. I have a couple of good programs coming up. I know something probably about the fire towers. 2 programs on the fire towers, yes, exactly. So that's going to, we are partners with the Historical Society. Yes, and that's a partnership that a memorandum of understanding was signed between the 2 groups. hence the display case as you come in here. And some of the programs we will co-sponsor together. Historic, and as you can see, the historical things that Erin has put up as well, which are really great. And I think it's a nice touch to have the two, absolutely, the two joining forces for a lot of things. So I think we might get Shakespeare in the Park back again.
Oh,
So
good.
that's a possibility that we're talking about, not definite, so that's a strong possibility that we're gonna get.
Decentralization grant thing?
I'm not sure, Donna will give us the specifics of that tomorrow at the board meeting. She is instrumental in organizing that.
Okay.
You know, so there are some things, the Utica Zoo will be back, you know, the kids are very, they really like that.
Mhm.
So we're working on it slowly.
Yep.
It was very difficult to get people on board when they weren't sure where the COVID thing was
Yeah,
going. But
yeah.
now that they
To get
know,
them motivated.
right, that now it can be
Yep.
scheduled and
Yeah.
things like that.
Back to normal.
And
Yeah.
kudos to you guys for encouraging and getting all this going again,
Yeah,
because
it's a-
that's what we have to do. Everybody is kind of just a little
Yeah.
lax, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
kind of like, we need to get on board and start moving forward again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think the library's doing well.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have any questions?
I would love more information at some point from somebody about the fire tower programs that you have going on. I can definitely push those out on the county level.
June
We just had,
4th, 7
was
PM,
just-
I'll
yeah,
confirm
that
it
was
at
just
the meeting.
determined this
Okay.
week.
Yes,
And Marty, Marty Podcast, she's coming in August. It's in our director's report, which I don't have,
I don't
yeah, I
have
don't
with
have
me, and I don't have, yeah,
so that date has been set for Marty. He's done program, it's been a while since he's done a program here.
he's focusing on the McComas Tower.
Oh, he
And
is.
Lori Rankin, who's the head of the Fire Tower Association.
Right, yes,
They're the ones that actually maintain Pillsbury
yeah.
and various fire towers. She's coming, I think it's June 4th.
Right, she's
7
coming in
PM.
June, right?
I think it's the 4th, I'll confirm it and let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's gonna be focusing on Pillsbury.
Pillsbury, yes, Pillsbury, which is a wonderful, I don't know how to share that link, but it's a great history of Pillsbury Mountain. It's the most extensive, intensive history of Pillsbury Mountain that I have seen
Yeah,
written.
the one that's been on Facebook recently.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I read the whole thing, yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, in fact, Donna is going to print it up for me.
Yeah.
She said, you
That's
know,
worth having some hard copy of.
It is, I thought it was, I don't know where it came from, it says John's Post. I don't-
John Sasso is he's a climber. He
Oh.
just likes to
Yeah,
research.
it was a great, great
And
write-up.
He
so-
got into the background of the people, where the
Yeah,
name came from
exactly.
and all of that.
It's really good, so.
And Lori
I think-
brought some wonderful artifacts this week when we
We
met
did.
with her for the display case.
Yeah, we have, and that's something that we really want to advertise more and make more people aware of, is the display case. And I have to thank Kathy and her family for doing that, because she's the one who puts that together.
You got it in the right place. What you
Yeah.
do, you can't always.
Yeah, it is, it's nice,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's nice.
Except the road is.
Okay, anybody have any more questions? I'll go.
Okay, Karen, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm sure you're rushing to get back to Boylan, it's such an
Yeah,
easy work.
Well, lucky Tommy Hines got there at 6:30,
Okay.
and I said to him, I said, well, I'll be there shortly after 7. And it's here, you can do it with 2 people. Dave moves a little slower,
What?
not too much slower,
Taskmaster.
but I know, but the third set of hands is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, so,
Well,
yeah.
thanks for coming, Nancy.
Okay.
Nancy.
Yeah, you too, Nancy.
Karen.
Nancy,
Oh,
Karen?
Nancy too. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night, have
Thank
fun.
you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, Randy, you have the floor for highway.
Oh, good. Going into buildings, there was a question about, I think you brought it up, the heat in the help center. It was somehow, the thermostat in the receptionist's office was set for Saturday, only Saturday, during the day for 72 degrees, which it normally is turned down to 60 degrees. And we just reprogrammed it and so on and so forth. How it got there, I have
Yeah, that's a good catch.
no idea.
Good
But-
catch.
Thank you, Anita.
But it was actually in the office, so
In
it couldn't have been
reception.
someone walking in the front
No, it
door.
wasn't somebody in the front door, it was in their office, that thermostat. But there's 3, there's one exam room 1, which we used to call it the ambulance room, third office, and then Carla's office. So that one was botched up somehow in the program. I don't know how it got there, but it's been rectified. So, and I honestly don't know how long it did that, but I would have thought that she would have noticed it and told us earlier that
Yeah.
a long time ago. So, next thing on my list is in the budget. Previous year, we put in for a new truck. The truck is not here yet. It was ordered back in December, November. But reading through our procurement policy, we have a little snafu when we redesigned it. That Betsy and I are waiting for some information from other towns to fix this, but the short term of it is, when they introduced the piggybacking clause, that was not put into our procurement policy. So it states that anything over $20,000 has to be put out to bid, has to have 3 bids, sealed bids, blah, 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 all the way down to the line. Which is true until you piggyback off of somebody else's that had done all that work. So, once we'll be back to you in probably next month to rectify, amend our procurement policy so it includes the piggyback clause that the state law changed probably 3 years ago now, to say that if you're over $20,000, you gotta put it up to bid and or use this piggyback clause.
Take it on state contract.
Pick up off of that. That being said, Franklin County, well, Denoyer Chevrolet won Franklin County's piggybacking clause for so said trucks that we bought our last one through that also. And just because of, for clarity, I would like to get a resolution from the board, somebody, to purchase a truck through the Franklin County bid to piggyback and Denoyer Chevrolet. That way we're covered because it's not in our procurement policy at this moment. I got from Denoyer the 3 bids and everything else in this lovely folder where Franklin County put it out to bid and everything like that. They did all the steps, and then the second page is the clause that says any other municipal organization, you know.
Is there a time frame on that, Randy, with the, how long is that able to piggyback on?
This, what do you mean?
Well, when we get it, when we correct
The
our
bid is for 2022.
policy, I'd like to correct it to right.
Okay.
So I'm saying, is there a time frame that we can piggyback off of that municipalities or this municipality before we have to institute our own process? 6 months, a year?
I'm trying to read that right now where it says extension of use. Extension of such contract, description of the vendor. Contract period shall be from date award 12/31/22, and it does not have a ending date. So until
Let's
this,
assume it's in the same year.
right, I'm assuming it would be just for that, just, year.
Okay. There may be cases where we'd like to do it, and the dealers say, no, we're not honoring that anymore. You know,
Right.
It's not so much that we would be on the short end of that, so, but,
No, but
yeah, but my friend at Town X got it for this.
opening date, contract person,
There's gotta be a clause in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
I will look that up.
Okay, it's not important to that.
Right, so, but either way, it's underneath our amount that we put in the budget first of all, plus the truck that's actually coming in is underneath the bid specs as far as, because as we all know, companies that are short on computer chips.
Right.
So GM is giving you a voucher basically that says, we'll put all the rest of the parts in when we get them, but you can have the truck. And at no charge, so the price actually came in like $800 less than what the bid is because it's not really complete.
Right, but is that- will it act like a recall then, when
Yeah,
they do get it?
yeah, that's exactly what they're calling it.
Will
And
we be able to use the truck?
yes, because it's heated seats.
That's what
That's what's,
the chip is?
the chip is, it's not in this particular truck.
Heated
For those of us who have it the first time ever, let's pretend ours. Once you have it, you know.
You don't have heated seats?
No, why does anybody need heated seats?
You don't need them, Kathy, but when you buy a used
Comes
car and it comes
standard.
with it,
Yeah.
But this isn't used.
But even new, there's certain packages and you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Particularly,
This
this
is package
one also
one, this
has
is package two.
electric door locks for my other one, this one out here does not, or it does,
What was that?
but
it's easier anyway.
Oh, me too.
Bear down.
when they
My fingers
spec,
get
when they,
cold.
yeah,
Started.
when they spec it out for, say, the, trailer hitch thing, that automatically bumps it up to this or whatever, you can't
Next
just,
package up.
right, you just can't get the stripped down
Yep.
version of it.
Basic model like we used to be able to in the 80s, you know?
Or, here, I wish you could have ordered chicken
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah.
Try to, if you wanna really have fun, try to order standard chicken nowadays. So this truck, in this bid, somewhere here, came in at the exact price. Whoop, I need my glasses for that number. $43,697.50, and we have 44,500 in there. Budget.
Pretty good. Well, that's good news in a sense. If we-
And it's sitting in with 11,000 other trucks in a train depot in Michigan, waiting to get shipped.
This is not out in the ocean, no.
From what I'm hearing from the dealer, now I don't know how much this is all true or just dealer talk. They even, GM even went out and bought a fleet of tractor trailer car haulers, carriers. And now they can't put men in them because they can't get the drivers for them. They have so many vehicles backed up that they literally went out and bought like 80 semis with trailers to ship these things. And they can't. The train company's at 75%. They won't ship more than 70 of the normal thing because of whatever reason.
What number truck are we getting rid of?
We are not. We changed our 225, which is our recycling truck, to a flatbed truck.
Right.
And we wanna keep that sport just the recycling.
Good.
We modified it. We graciously got something from the county.
Yep.
And, we're borrowing it for a long period of time.
Okay. That's good. So,
Very good.
we're looking for then.
A resolution that
Okay.
when this ever does arrive, we're going to purchase it off of this bid, piggyback clause from Delaware Chevrolet.
Okay,
It's budgeted under the threshold.
yeah. Do we have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, done with that.
And I will be back to you with Betsy and I with the procurement policy.
Yeah.
And I will actually email it to everybody once, because you need to go over it before a meeting, before we
Right.
approve it. I mean, everybody needs to understand it,
Along,
including me.
yeah, I gave it to her, the whole clause, and she goes, oh, it's pages. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 12 pages to read up on what we have to add in. So to go through 12 pages and condense that
Right.
into a paragraph.
Yeah.
So we're looking at other
Sounds
towns
like
just to
that. Sounds like
see what
federal
they
work, yeah.
have done. So,
Yeah, we're not getting into federal stuff.
Mhm.
So the next is what we passed last time, which you guys have a amendment for a resolution there to make it an option for our, highway employees to
Right, and this amendment changes nothing but that.
correct,
Uh,
make it a one-time option as your appointment
I
status.
move the amended wording.
Discussion. It's
oh, we need a second first,
Okay, got it.
okay?
You
Sorry
seconded
about
for
that,
discussion.
Kat.
second for discussion.
Yep,
Okay.
Okay, Kathy.
One-time options, so there are certain times in our lives that situations change. So I am concerned that one-time option does not leave the guys who might have children and then don't want this anymore to then change it. I'm concerned about the one time.
I'm on your side.
The only reason,
I'm,
the reason I put that in there is to try to alleviate the county from trying to, okay, this year, we knocked them down, you know, we paid them up for this amount, and then they start building up, and then, oh, no, they come to us and say, we wanna change it, and then the following year, we change it back, and trying to figure out where their hours are maxing out at. I realize there's only 10 employees, but, that's the only reason I said it, is because I don't wanna get into a situation where every year they're changing their mind, which would.
no, but could we put something in that says due to certain circumstances? For example, somebody has children, that's a wonderful little helper at Christmas time.
Right.
Their children are all gone, they don't need that change in the taxes or that.
Can we put it to a,
What's your
if you,
reason?
I don't want it to be willy-nilly, every other year somebody's changing their
Right.
mind.
It's gotta be a
But there's gotta
substantially
be-
good reason.
Yes, so for example, at school, if you take certain deductions, that is set in stone for the year. If you make a change, there's gotta be a good reason for certain things to change. For example, health
Subsequent
insurance.
years, not.
Yeah, not yearly.
Whatever you pick, it's just like how many dependents you put or whatever, you're stuck with that at least for the year.
Yes, but I don't want this to be
So could you do
willy.
like in five, like every 5 years or every 4 years, we could review it? I mean, it, or
People
I
who
just
do
don't want
it
them
and
locked
save
in
it.
forever.
some, people are, right. But, what do you think?
From the bookkeeping point of view, there are 10 and the county would inherit this, but
Well, perhaps it's more a function of when someone makes the change. For instance, you say you've got a life thing and you were taking this buyout, and then your life changes 2, 4, 5, whatever it is, years down. Shouldn't it be, as far as being a pain for the county, you know this more than I do, we can't spring it on them at the very end. Maybe there's a time frame for you to make that change early on, please.
What about at budget time?
Yeah, I mean, these things make sense.
Because you have to know how much money to budget for
Correct.
the following.
that's the other,
Yeah, if you're an employee and you come skating in Thanksgiving and say, geez, I just met with my accountant, I want to switch.
no.
Too late, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Too bad.
It's gotta be some
That's
order.
what
That's,
You
no,
mean
I
budget
just, I don't want them
time
locked in
wouldn't start until
forever.
January, correct?
Correct.
what's that?
So she means so that it would have to be, they would have to make that decision by budget time for us to figure the budget, but it would not start until January of the following year.
Of course.
Right.
Like given,
So if we
I
change
shouldn't be
this
wrong.
to, instead of saying we'll have a one-time option of opting in or out of this, to take that out, saying any period, and then say any changes on a case-by-case, but any changes must be made by October 15th.
And
Well,
then,
even that's a little
and then
bit.
well, no.
we'd also have to put in there that it wouldn't change until the following,
Well, of
take
course.
effect until the following year.
Yeah, that's.
That way you have time to adjust the
Yeah,
budget.
you've got 14 months worth of things to turn the battleship around.
If you do it by July, then you can change it by, it'll affect in January, that way we had the whole budget season to.
Is that workable for all?
Is there no exception for an emergency type situation? I mean,
Well, what would the emergency be? I mean, you're either gonna get paid for all of your stuff or get a lump sum. I mean, it's not like anyone's losing anything.
No,
They're gonna accrue their things across to the next,
Yeah, it's still a
Or,
carryover,
yeah,
they're
but
still gonna
in
keep
her
their time.
point- Oh, nobody plans on an accident, so, okay.
well, but what, again, so what would happen if there was an accident? I wanna run my thinking here. What
So,
would the emergency be? Is that what it's-
right, that's what I'm saying, is if it's, say you're taking your girl and you wanna, whatever happens, you're at 360, and you decide you wanna go to the 720 and not take the paycheck,
Mhm.
you wanna keep adding up,
Right.
then that's,
I think that's kind of defeating what you're trying
That's
to
right.
do initially, just my own
Keep
personal.
in mind, what you don't want is a whole bunch of folks who are short-sighted and saying, yeah, I'll take the cash and cut me in half. And then hear any whining when there is an emergency later on, like, geez, I wish I had more hours. You know, we're employers here, at some point, it's an if-then, you know, you can't possibly be everything to everyone.
we're trying to get them.
Yeah, this was supposed to be something good.
And it's a wonderful idea, and it's great, I just feel like we're locking them in with this one time.
So I ask again, what we're saying now, is that work where they have an option to opt out? I don't think you can let them opt out in the middle of things
I agree with you.
for purposes of bookkeeping. Nancy's a consultant on this, right?
She's a budget
Should she be in the?
Go ahead, Nance.
Just so you're aware, okay, budget, October 15th, October 1st, whatever.
Yeah.
Works. The treasurer's office has to do, like I used to have to do every year for the first payroll of the year, you have to do payroll amount changes, tax
Just one minute.
changes,
Sure.
all the new tax tables. So that would be the time
That's right.
if they're gonna do it, because they'll be in there, each employee's part, and it's not just highway guys too, because, you know, anybody that's,
paid.
gets a check that way, not an elected, but, so I don't think that would be that difficult for the county, you know, for 10 people.
At that
If
time.
someone at that time, you know, they're gonna do it for January.
And 10 would be the max. I mean, we're probably only talking about half that will take this at all to begin with, don't you think?
Right, and the other concern is, will anybody, like, say there's an accident, and I think of an employee
Yeah.
who had an accident, and then you get people to donate sick time,
We've done that.
which we've done. Is someone gonna donate sick time when they've already cashed out?
No.
Probably not, so
I think this
that
is a
would be
sober decision that needs to be made by
Right,
the employee who is, you know, an adult.
and they would have to probably be notified about all these different options ahead of time, you know, like, this is something to think about, go home and talk to your wife, or,
Yeah.
you know, and see where you wanna go with this, because it might sound great, you know, hey, I'm gonna get, you know,
A lump sum.
yeah.
Well, even though we agree on this tonight, this isn't happening this week.
No.
Not at all.
Because this isn't gonna take over until December 1st anyway, is when it officially starts. So we're gonna have time to put it together, but we're also going to have something that they have to fill out, committing themselves one way or the other. And
Yes.
they have to fully understand what the guidelines are, so that they don't come to us in late November and say, I changed my mind. It's too late, you'll have to wait till next October. I mean, we have to set guidelines and we have to be able to follow them.
I don't know if either of these two ladies are familiar with what Nancy's referring to. I don't know if they do that at the school, or I can't remember.
We do
but
it every year in
they do much of
July.
it at-
In July.
And no, I mean, where someone is hard pressed for having a terrible tragedy
Yes,
and is completely out of sick time.
we do sick banks.
And
We
you-
can
We can opt to
Right, we
donate
get
a
it
certain
counted,
number of
right,
days.
Yeah.
Well, what happens with that, at least in my time in her seat, we had one that people were tripping over themselves to give time to this person who was an unfortunate health emergency. Down the road, another employee, a shorter termer, who's always using every bit of their time and you know, is not stepping up as maybe the rest of the crew would think, trying to pass that same hat didn't go very well. It was awkward for the board, for me, for everyone else. But here's a case where you're taking the payout. So to Nancy's point, this is, you know, gonna play into whether or not we all line up to give old Harry another 50 or 100 hours that we have banked up when, yeah, well, geez, they went out and bought a big screen TV on the cash out. It's you're, I think what Randy proposed to keep is enough for the average person who would do those.
Yeah, 8 to 9 weeks of sick
As a
time.
rule, you know, it's.
And you have personal time.
That's right, you can get into the whole,
Time.
right, your vacation time, but you just, there can be no whining after this. We need to do more educating on the front end and say, look, this is a sober decision. Do it, don't do it, but we're only gonna keep these books one way or the other, not mix them back and, yeah, it would make us a pariah up at county.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say this, but could there be a way, or would it be advantage to you put in a proposal to have it changed, and that proposal is reviewed by the board? So if someone does it 4 times in 4 years, the board can finally say, hey, enough is enough, we're not doing this no more.
You lost me 4 times, what 4 times?
No,
If someone did
say
it.
one person wants to change and then they change it the second time, they come back to the board 2 years later or whatever.
So they go from
change it
taking a
again.
buyout to not taking a
Taking-
buyout, and then
no,
we're back
yeah.
to taking a
Yeah.
buyout.
And have this, if, you know, every time if you wanna change this, you are basically asking the graces of the board.
So this is 2 things, we're in the discussion on this amended resolution, that could be something we address in the personnel policy. That would be, you know, in regards to blah, 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 blah. These things will be done on a case-by-case basis after the first switch, after the first. And I agree with you, that's smart, because again, you can't expect that it's bad enough if it was being done in-house the way we used to, but it's not anymore.
And that can be done in executive session
Respect,
because it's
sure,
a contract
sure.
with one
Yes, I mean,
specific employee.
it's a great suggestion, I just think we can take that up after a policy is enacted and just put it in the personnel policy, which also has to be signed by, you know, each employee, and they read it, understand it, and, you know, act accordingly.
Get all that stuff?
I'm on my last page.
Just,
Get it?
you don't have to get everything, right?
I got it.
Somewhere in between.
Just keep writing. Just keep
The discussion followed.
Yes,
Right.
there was a lot of discussion
Lengthy
followed by,
discussion.
and I would say just by my friend who just was clerk, but many previous clerks would do a little synopsis sort of thing, and then lengthy discussion ensued,
Yes.
coming to some, you know,
Conclusion.
some conclusion tonight.
So, is there any further discussion on this, or
Well-
have we agreed to this?
What did we agree to?
Well, just on the whereas,
Here,
it's
why don't
whereas
you rewrite it all?
the employees may otherwise
Lose this accrual.
lose this accrual if they are over maximum, blah, blah. Next whereas. The employees will have the one time, we take one time out. Will have the option of opting into this program or staying with the old system of no payback. By October, I would prefer 1.
Okay,
October 1/budget season, an employee would have a chance to remove themselves or extricate themselves from that program. That would then, the calendar then starts on that, this doesn't have to be in the
right.
January 1st or following, but
Yeah,
it's just taking out the one time, you don't have it in front of you, and I didn't bring money to the dump, sorry. And then having one more sentence in there, giving the employees the chance to change, we'll call that just change, whether it's backing out or backing in, by October 1st for the following budget season at that time. And then leave it there, and then any other sort of board actions would have to be through your personnel document. I move that as choppily amended.
Okay,
That I will second.
okay, Kathy seconded, okay, discussion, that's it on discussion, everybody's fully understands it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
I
opposed?
understands it, but yes. How I get it.
Okay,
It's a resolution.
Hey, one more thing, since we're all having so much fun.
Give us something harder than that.
I will.
This is a good thing.
Today,
We thought this was too.
Today we had, another gentleman, give us 2 weeks' notice.
Are you whipping them?
So we are, after tomorrow after Friday, I would say, we are down 3 men in the, highway garage. So
This
that-
week is Kevin, right?
Yeah, this week is Kevin, last week was Austin, and now in 2 weeks is
Lynn,
Lynn.
So that shoe has fallen.
Huh?
That,
Yes,
Shoe has
that shoe has fallen, which we saw in the paper that he was, offered to the village and
yeah, it was in a
so
couple
on
of weeks
and so
ago.
forth. Today he came in and
Made it
official writing, official,
Good.
2 week notice, and so on. So that kind of opens up another can of worms. We have an HEO, 2 MEOs. We are currently advertising, for laborers
And
and
an
an MEO. Not so much 1 and 1, but whatever we get, so we left our doors open there. It was brought up to Betsy brought it to me, I brought it to the men. Betsy and I sat in on a meeting with the men so that we were very local and public with this to the men, that I would propose to the board that we reduce our staff by that 1 HEO. Dropping us down to 9, 8 in the shop, 1 at the dump, transfer station. And take that paid salary, hourly rate, and divide it amongst the other 9. Which comes out to be $2.10. I threw the number out there of $2 an hour. Expressing to them, and Betsy also expressed to them again, that we are going to have to, in the wintertime especially, pick up the pace on some of the duties, especially on garbage day, recycling day, when we're shorthanded as it is.
Especially when you never know when the bulk of your crew will be on snow removal.
Right, and heaven forbid, somebody goes out sick or gets hurt.
or they may have to get out of the truck and get behind a shovel and shovel snow, and we
So on and
discussed
so
all
forth.
this.
We discussed that, and actually, Ed put it quite frankly and bluntly, when we come back and walk in to get our cup of coffee, we may have to not get that cup of coffee, we may have to go down and plow the parking lots at the library. Instead of having that cup of coffee before we go back out around another loop. But it's,
So you feel like this frank discussion,
oh, it was.
Cleared that-
it was
cleared
very-
that air.
It was very, very blunt.
Yeah.
I explained to him that it's, going to be the Monday, Tuesday hardships are going to hit hard next winter if we have snowstorms every Monday and Tuesday.
yeah,
And then we won't even discuss putting 1 or 2 guys out grooming.
We also explained to them that day that they should go home and speak to their spouses, not to be repeating it around town until this came to the board. But we felt, after this first blunder, that we thought we were helping them. We
Yeah.
felt that we needed to be open with them and explain to them what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them more money, but again, it means they're gonna be working more.
Right.
well, you never hear me say that our crews are overpaid or don't deserve more money. That's for sure that we can always do better. However, it is a really unusual thing. You worked in that office a long time. It's a very unusual thing in the middle of the budget to do across-the-board raises. So, yeah, they should have to kind of think about it a little bit. It's not up to them how many men you have in your crew, but if you're gonna ask them to be a little more of a Swiss Army knife and be able to, you know, do more than one thing so that you have the flexibility to work with basically 8. I mean, you have 9, but
Yeah.
take that out, the landfill. Ooh, did I say landfill? It shows how old I am. Yeah, right, it's a dirty word. But I'm all for this, to make it work. Not just because I think our crew deserves the best pay, but also, it's clear, I was only kidding about you whipping them first, I know you don't. But the signals are out there now that the private sector is having trouble getting folks. Municipalities are having a great deal of trouble getting folks. We've got to step up to keep the people we have and for retention and recruitment. So I think it could be a blessing here.
And as for recruitment, I'm not quite sure the county, but I think that their salaries are a bit higher than our guys. Am I correct with that, Randy?
Correct.
And I also know, I had a meeting with Jeanette this week, and the village starting pay is $1 more an hour. If they have a CDL Class A, it's $2 more an hour. If it's a Class B, it's 50 cents. So someone that has a Class B is gonna start out at $17 an hour. We're offering $15.50. This is the icing on the cake. The village pays 100% of the health insurance for the employee, and then the spouse that has to pay 50%. But our employees, the newer ones, have to pay 20% of their salary off the top, and 3% for the retirement, and the retirement is now permanent. It used to be 10 years and then they didn't have to put it in anymore. So you're taking 23% off of a $15.50, not counting their taxes and everything else. How can a young fella take on something like this, especially, you know, young and hoping to get married and start a family and live here?
Well, sadly, they do, but they're seeing you as a 2-year stepping stone at most. That becomes the problem. Sometimes getting an employee is hard, and then keeping them is harder,
Yes.
particularly the ones that, you know, you're trying to incentivize. We're having some retirement age, you're gonna have an experience drain going out your door in the last year or 2, probably, total. And before it was only a Malcolm here or this one there. If you get more than a couple, it becomes real difficult, but then we would be in a hardship. I think less, a little leaner, a little meaner, pay them more. I'm all for it.
And the guys are really happy with this idea.
Right, and it saves the taxpayers because now we're not offering insurance and benefits that we just talked
Yep.
for that next person.
I got 2 questions. New hires, is that gonna raise the new hire?
It's gonna take the whole, you've seen, you know,
The whole
the
scale.
grading staff.
Yeah, step.
Every one of them's going up by that amount.
Okay, and what happens, say, in the middle of next winter, if you find out you can't make do without that extra person?
Well, number one, I'll be there ending up as that extra person even more so than I am now.
Okay,
And.
I mean, I'm all for them.
It ends
making
up-
more money.
Correct.
Of course, the budget has always dictated how we paid our people, and the employees seem the ones that always get the short end, because it's the biggest expense, but
Yeah, of course, it's a big number in there.
we gotta pay more, but I'm just concerned about if you've got people on plows for 16 hours, and then
Can't do it.
Can't send them out.
then the garbage has to be collected, or recyclables or whatever, and you can't send anybody out.
Well, in the worst case scenario, where I'm looking at is someone's hurt. And they're out for
So it's more than just
the month of January, per se. We also have, the employee at the transfer station.
Right.
We also can easily call the county and say, hey, I need somebody to drive the garbage truck for these next 4 weeks on Monday.
Yeah.
And
I could always hang on the back of the garbage truck, and I've said this to you how many times?
I've done it.
I would gladly
Yeah, I'm
do
gonna
it.
say, I put Neil on the spot on that one.
I did recycles for the town and garbage for the village,
Yeah,
and plowing for the village.
You do what you gotta do, you know, it's the buddy system here, we're a team.
I can run away.
Yeah. And again, I'm thinking that this is smart and that you do have enough, but should you not for a Monday, Tuesday, like you say, a snowstorm comes in, there's also possibilities of volunteers and short-term employment for groomers to, you know, allow a groomer to jump off and be your wingman. Yeah, you know, I mean, we've had hard times before, I think we can do this.
right, and I mean, like you said, when you were talking about before, when one of our employees went out for a long period of time and we offered the sick time and everything else to make sure we also hired in a temp.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's an option.
yeah, a temp even paid well, if it's not a fully benefited thing, we can get by.
Right.
There's a lot of people around here that work, if not exclusively, predominantly in summer. So winter becomes our pinch point, we might be able to fill it in that way. I think you can do it.
Okay, so I think we need a motion on this?
Well, it's best to be done. I mean, I don't know when you look to start this, but we should write it.
We could,
I would say start at the next payroll.
Oh, well, in that case, we gotta spitball it.
yeah,
Like that,
That's a little quick.
It's all coming, yeah, and this is all flying at me. I don't have the salary schedule in front of me, and I don't.
what, we can get it.
The guys are all on board,
Mhm.
and they know the upcoming
Yeah,
consequences.
that's why her and I had
every
that
single,
meeting
we
with
went out
every single.
in the back, in their lunchroom, and sat down at the tables and discussed all this in depth.
It really doesn't have to be passed.
So you have all the information, which we can table it till whenever, I mean, I'm not
This is
against
a,
that.
Well, we can take, why don't we
These
take
yellows-
this to the next meeting?
I mean, these are the employees, or they are right now, these are the spots in which these employees are at. just
I understand,
So
okay.
that the grading stuff.
I used to look at this all the time and go,
And let me just say again,
the old days of
At the
50
risk
cents
of
on election
annoying
days are
anyone.
gone.
you're not gonna get 100% compliance with anything. You've had your meeting, they've gotten to, to bounce things off of you and vice versa. If it seems like it's the right thing to do for the majority, I say do it. There never should be a time when the superintendent or the highway foreman or whatever should be getting a show of hands to say, should we plow or not, or should we? You still need a structure here. All we're asking here is, who's for more money? Well, I think that's gonna be, 8, 10 hands are gonna shoot up. Here's what we're gonna have to do for it. If you get a majority on that one, acceding to it, then it's the right thing to do.
So I just wanna say, when we discussed that this means that they would be having to work more and get out of the truck and behind a shovel or whatever it takes to make this work, they said really in the past year, one of our employees has been out, injured
Right.
for quite a bit, and they said, we've been doing it.
That's right.
We've already been doing it, so for
Great.
them, this is like a great raise for something they've already been doing.
Right.
Uh, So, and they showed us that they can do it, and they have done it. So I think that that's a big plus. Every single one of them was very happy with this whole idea, but again, we said that this had to stay quiet, it had to go to the board, and the board had to think about this and make a decision. So if you guys are more comfortable waiting until the next meeting to make this decision, we can.
I don't have a problem with making the decision, I'm just, so, was the person at the transfer station involved in this conversation as well?
Yes. I specifically went out there, and that person, nothing really
Nothing
changes
changes.
No,
until drastic times, which she already knows.
and she's done it.
And, yeah,
Okay,
so,
She's come and worked with us, or with the guys.
And that, just to belabor it even further, that is the quickest, best solution for a town highway superintendent, is to pull that person in and then impose on Tracy to
right,
juggle some things around for the short term out there, because, you know, we're the ones that are extended here, just like the one other place where there's two other places where there's a transfer station. In times of dire needs, and it's all hands evolution, call the county and say, Tracy, I'm gonna have shorthand you for a day or two, or a week or whatever, and so be it, but those people are on our payroll.
So at this point in time, the three guys are 2 garbage and 1 MEO, which is, you know, general fill-in.
Yeah.
The far as plowing schedule is the garbage guys are the ones doing the parking lots here. So that's where the fill-in needs. Now, the groomer guy, normally, even on snow days, because we all know that the worst thing everybody hates is, you know, highways have to come before someone do the trails. And it's just a mere fact that that's what it is. So Matt comes in and does this with the other, we're only down 1, not 2. Right now, there's 2 guys doing all this.
Right.
So now we're down to 1. The catch is when the guy runs out of 16 hours,
Right.
legally, I can't have him out there anymore. Now Matt has to have somebody else with him. So that person that was doing this all day long only has 8 hours left because they're here already 8 hours. So that, Matt is more of a floater, you know, because he does it 11 to 7 at night. And usually they get done plowing at 7 because their 16 hours ends.
Right.
So Matt would be just getting done at his 8, the other 8 would come in. So we have the manpower to, you know, but we just took it from 12 hours to 16 hours. You know, the go home time used to be 12 hours. Don was there when I was doing it. I always wanted everybody up, because at that point in time, after driving up and down these roads for 12 hours, you get sleepy. I don't care who you
That's
are.
the max then.
Yeah.
So we this winter went to 14 hours, and sometimes there was probably 4 or 5 times the guys were out 16 hours on the state road. And not that I liked it, but that's just the way the numbers worked around where I had to get people shuffled. And like I said, so Lynn's been out on workman's comp, so we've been without them. And it's worked.
Oh, excuse me. Well,
So.
your pleasure.
What's everybody's feeling? Do we move this tonight or do we table this? How does everybody, do you feel comfortable? I want everybody to be comfortable with this decision.
As long as we don't add somebody else midstream,
I was just gonna say, a year or 2 down the road, that's the main thing, and that can't happen.
it can't happen because that's
Budget's the budget.
disrespecting.
Yes,
Well, if you hire somebody, we need somebody extra, you're gonna hire them at the current wages, you're not gonna put everybody down if that's what you're.
I'm
not sure
thinking
what you meant.
the people that have run shovels for years
She
and,
doesn't want me to say 2 years from now, hey, I need to add $30,000 to the budget because I need another person.
I need another person.
It'll be, every year, some superintendent will try that, and every year, some board member will have to knock
Say,
it.
that's not the deal that we swamped.
All
I
right,
can work year to year, budget to budget.
Well, I would say you as highway superintendent, we should take your advice and go with what you need.
Move it as his recommendation.
okay, so who's moving that?
Don. Right? Okay, I thought you were.
I get that on video.
Well, then I am.
Okay, Neil?
How's that? Please, by all means. let
Okay,
me-
who's seconding that?
Do Will Smith.
A second?
I'll second,
Oh,
for discussion.
okay, all in favor?
I'm all discussed out.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Kathy? No, you comfortable?
I said aye.
Fine.
You comfortable?
Comfortable, 100%, no, but that's what we need to do.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Randy?
Nope, that is it.
Well, I was certain 2 weeks ago that you were leaving here with wonderful news for the crew. So all returns in, you fix that, tweet. I'm very certain
Well,
that this is good news for our crew.
and the good thing is we already reviewed all this with them before we brought it to you.
Good.
So airways were all open, we discussed yes and no and ups and downs and, you know, and they all
We had
seemed
some
to
ups
be.
and downs.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna deny it.
Change is hard for anybody, but
we've had a lot ups and downs.
Our consultant is.
Nancy,
Just wondering when you're gonna start this.
next payroll.
Okay, which is next week.
Let's be clear, that's after Betsy's back. More importantly, the county will know
Yeah.
all ahead.
There will be someone leaving Friday, did you
Yes.
say?
Mhm.
So that person will be getting paid that day,
No,
Correct.
plus vacation time?
no.
No?
The person that's leaving now will not be on next payroll. I'm saying next payroll start date. As in Sunday, the new payroll starts.
Okay, so you're talking.
2 weeks from now's paycheck.
Next cycle.
Because payroll will be going in Friday.
Not this current work week,
Right.
okay?
Not this payroll period,
Right.
the
Right.
next
That goes
payroll,
to Friday.
Period.
which
That way we
starts
don't
next
have any
Sunday.
doubling up of, like she is saying, salaries.
Okay. And you'll get this information to the county?
Yep.
Okay, so that's,
I would try and-
I don't know, are you done yet?
It's been a long.
I said I was done 20 minutes ago, but you guys keep bringing it up.
She puts up with it. Does he talk this much at home?
Okay, is there anything else seriously, Randy?
So this is a
Did you wanna quickly mention about, I'm sorry, but about the furnace, issue that we had, because everybody
Okay,
saw the
yeah.
bills, I think
So
we
it's-
should explain that.
Sure. I completely forgot about that, was a synopsis. We had a furnace in the bus garage storage area that went on the fritz. We cleaned, we changed tips, we did our normal, what we could do maintenance. And it did it 2 or 3 times, and I said, all right, we'll call the company that does all of our maintenance on our boilers, including here. And they sent a guy up the next day, not on, emergency time or nothing like that. And they, not knowing what this furnace was, they tore it apart, said we need parts and pieces, so on and so forth. Put it back together, and it was running. While they were there, I said, okay, it's been 4 years that I know of, that the boiler for the out front office.
Well, you got him here.
Well, I got them there, why don't you service that one also, see what you need or whatever, and of course, it's a totally different furnace and nothing matches, of course. So he made a list of everything he needed. He charged us for that day of tearing things apart, putting them back together, getting a list. He was coming back on Monday. Monday morning, we came back in and smelled fuel oil. Sent the guys to the back room, and sure enough, there was let's put it this way, it didn't get to the drains. Which, even if it had, I wanna make this very clear, that drain goes into our oil separator,
Oil
which
separator.
gets processed and everything else. So if it did go, it wasn't getting outside,
That's right.
there'd be no environmental.
Right.
That, let that company know, I called the company and they were very thorough on that fact that not too many garages have that system installed, first of all.
Not too
Not too many
many.
have been through what we
Not
went
too many.
through.
We're on a consent order for
So,
300,000.
we cleaned up the mess, so on and so forth. The furnace, for whatever reason, without a flame, kept pumping oil.
This is after this guy's gone through it for what it needs?
Yeah, what he could do, or, and said he needed more parts and pieces and put it back together, and it was running when he left. Andy was the guy signing off, watching it run, so I have to trust that, and that the employee would not have signed off on it. The service man was already en route, he got there, helped us clean up the rest of the mess, climbed up, pulled the burner back out. The oil had gotten through the firebox, up into the exhaust,
Oh, man.
completely saturated the firebox, so that's a whole liner, everything else that has to get thrown away. He spent almost a whole day trying to clean that out. We did not get billed for that whole day, in the bill. The next morning, I went up there and started analyzing what he had started to clean, and I said that this isn't working, he's going to be here another whole day, and he's still not, as he said, I still can't even find the parts for this 25-year-old furnace. And never mind get them for you. So sitting from here to Nancy is the furnace that we pulled out that had only been run for 3 or 4 years at the museum. We pulled it out of the museum back when Neil was there. And I said, well, will that furnace work for this room? And they said, yes. Made a few phone calls and made up a plenum. The guy came back up and installed that furnace. So out of this 4-day event, we got billed for 3 days and I think $200 worth of
I
parts.
can't tell you what a good end to that story it is, because we took a lot of heat.
We took a lot
That's a
of
pun,
heat.
intended pun. We took a lot of heat during that time for doing just that, for taking that, keeping it.
And we kept it at the garage because it was a perfectly working furnace, which was
Yes, it was.
a, kick in our teeth when we went to take it out of
Whoa.
the museum. And now it's back in service,
That's great news.
so.
So I just figured since it was in the bills.
And while they're there doing that, they also took that furnace apart and cleaned it and said, well,
So we're in good shape.
We're in good shape,
You went in
yeah.
an upswing.
Yes, we ended on an upswing. Fortunately, we had a furnace sitting there,
That's right.
so
Okay,
Who knew?
that is the reason for the bill.
is that it?
That is it.
So now the museum furnace is now in which room?
The bus garage storage room,
Got it.
It's back in the main building.
Yeah, I know.
which is attached to our main building. Where this is why we pay for the heat in that room, where our whole water treatment plant is.
Okay, so moving on, just a brief report on the museum fund report. To date, we've received $26,487. And I have to say, about every day or every other day, there's 1 or 2 donations still coming in, so it's still moving along. The Capital Reserve Groomer Fund, the permissive referendum, the 30th day was March 24th. We did not receive any petitions or any objections, so the paperwork will be filed with Stephanie's office tomorrow. That's behind us. So the next thing, and I gave everybody a copy, I spoke with Nancy Bernstein from Clean Energy Communities, the program that we had discussed last month. So I asked her a bunch of questions. The program expires in 2026. It's 4.5 years left, so it's not something we have to do right now. Once all requirements are met, I asked how long does it take to receive the grant money. She said we have to create a designation draft. We have to send it to NYSERDA. We have 90 days to submit the proposal, which will tell them how we are spending the $5,000. And you all see, a furnace, anything that is energy green, so we could replace the furnace, the generator at the clinic, garage doors, there's a lot of things we could do for that $5,000. Okay, she did want to give you all the hint that they are very loose with their regulations. If you were replacing a furnace, you don't have to get any bids for the proposal. The check is sent within 2 weeks.
That's good.
Yep. The other hint, they don't follow up to be sure that you did the project. She said,
Boy, that.
Wow.
Well, this Nancy,
she's on top of it. Yep. And she's more than willing to come to a meeting to answer any questions or give any information she can.
Might not say that.
Anything being replaced, air conditioning, furnace, etc., as long as it is energy efficient, greenhouse energy, is covered. We may be asked to do an efficiency rating report, but like she said, when you buy these things, it comes with one.
Sticker on it.
So she said, your work is done for you. She said, new units would have that rating, that could be a big help. And if the application is turned down, they give us another 90 days to get the application back in. Is it not
Is there one,
unbelievable?
In other words, they got a lot of money they wanna throw at you.
oh boy, if it's green, I know I asked this 100 years ago when we first started talking about this. Is this matching?
Oh, no, I think we had to put this money towards something.
Right, it has to go toward the
It
green
wasn't
project.
matching, it
We
was,
will use 5,000 to put towards installing a level 2.
I wish I had that original information, did I bring it?
No, but I have my notes from the last
Do you
meeting.
have it good,
I
because,
don't know if it would be the last meeting, maybe it would, but,
nobody talked about.
One of the things we discussed, we kind of glossed over last time, was this is all well and good, but a lot of these things are forcing you to spend 50 to get by, right? And we, in our history, and me going back to the village too, sometimes it's not worth it to chase some of those monies. If it's not matching, well, it wouldn't take but a few minutes to figure something that we're gonna need in the next 2 years, 3 years that is green. I mentioned a few of them already.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see us do this, but I don't think that it's something that we have to do right now. I
No,
think
it's certainly not. Well, you said, the best thing you said was the first answer she gave you.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to see us follow through on it.
Me too. As long as it's
Depends
not,
on how you all feel.
it's not hinged on a lot of money we don't,
Right.
we have not a lot of.
So what's everybody's feeling on this to,
Wasn't this the one where you had to go and find like energy bills from 10 years
Yep.
ago to show how?
well, that's because we've done all the lighting inside town hall, inside the bus, inside the garage, inside, the storage unit up in the back, right? All the outdoor lighting over here in the clinic, also the lighting outside here in the clinic, they've all been done. And plus, we're waiting to have all our streetlights done, which is another biggie. So if all those electric bills show that we've saved over the past 2 years since we did all this stuff, then that will count for one and possibly two.
Got it. And then,
And then the street lighting would be the third, so we only need 1 or 2 more things to make it happen.
Right, quite frankly, I'll bet it's not how much money we've saved, but how much KW, because, the longer you do one of those studies going out, our energy prices are going up, particularly as fuels and so on. But the KW will be the constant, so.
yeah, my notes say something about, can we still do it? We can still do it with upcoming classes.
Well, they offered classes before, but Steve is in classes, and it would be the building inspector that would have to attend. I sent them all the classes that Bob had taken.
Ah, yes.
Bob was doing this in September, October, November to get the credits. I sent him a copy of all his classes and none of them qualified.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a waste there, it was a disappointment, because I kind of thought we would get another point out of that, to make it easy, but, myself, I would like to see us do this, but I would like to see it tabled for a bit.
I agree.
That's up to everybody else.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Everybody in agreement to table? Okay. I promise I will bring this up again later on.
Free money, it's not gonna be hard to find a project.
Yeah, okay. New business. BTI report. Vi went out last week and said the larva is very big and plentiful. The weather changed and got so cold, so it held up the progress last week, but with the weather now supposed to get warmer, they are hoping to be out there working again. We did purchase the product Vectobac, as previously reported, from Karuga Lake, but last year we paid like $250, this year it was a little over $500. So prices, like everything else, are escalating. But, so that's the BTI report. Community garden, who is this, Burzok?
Burkholz.
Burkholz. June Burkholz stopped in. I can never say her last name. She stopped in just to let us know that she had mailed letters out about a month ago to all the folks that had gardens last year. She's still waiting to hear from 2 people and only 1 is not coming back this year. But June has 3 waiting on her list. So she's got to, so no matter what, she's already full, if the other 2 don't. She did notice, and she wanted me to mention this to you, Randy, that the town dropped off a load of mulch last fall. And the other thing is she had mentioned that one of the greenhouses is in need of repair. And she said she thinks her son is going to repair it. And so she will keep in touch. She'll be stopping in town hall from time to time just to give an updated report. They still do have a woodchuck, she's convinced. So that's the only issue she sees at this time. Okay, next is our budget transfer. So everybody got a copy of the control report, expense report, and the revenue report. So The only thing that, as I explained in the email, I tried Kathy and Rochelle to explain what we're doing or why we had to do it, so that you have a background. We just didn't budget enough last year. We never imagined that it would be as much as it was. But, so, we had to transfer the $4,150 for the independent auditor.
Or that it would take, as long as it takes.
Well, just think, we're past
We're
this.
caught up. We're
And
caught up.
now, if we have to do an audit, we'll just go with the county's auditor, everything is up in their office, and it'll be easy. So I am looking for a
So
motion
moved.
to approve that.
Second.
Okay, this is
Gotta pay
Neil
our bills.
and any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that is done. That's the budget transfer. Okay, the resolution to transfer funds from DB fund balance to DB 8760.400 in the amount of $100,000. And I did try to explain that in the email, what happens at the end of the year, the money automatically, anything left on the lines goes into fund balance, and then after January 1st, when you need to replace and start needing that money, we actually then have to do a budget transfer to put the money back in that line. Did I do okay, Randy?
Yeah.
Did you want to explain any more?
Yeah, just make it real quick. The money came from, that's in this that we're talking about, fund balance, is excess money that we had left over so far from being paid for small projects of FEMA. So that money goes into a revenue line, at the end of the year, that revenue line goes into fund balance, and then we need the money back from the revenue so we can spend more, so we can get more back. It's, and this is going towards that project.
Welcome to government.
Yeah, 2 projects that we got on, one on Fish Mountain Road, one on Lake Road, that are still, you know, the Fish Mountain one,
Yeah.
they'll still be submitting that money back to get 87.5% of that money back also. So,
Wanna move that?
So I'm looking for someone to move that.
Yeah.
Approve it?
Move it.
Don, okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rochelle. Any other further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we did the benefit thing already. LPSA Lake Stewards, we're currently looking for one more full-timer. Out of 2 that were there last year, one is coming back, the other one is not. So LPSA is looking for someone. If anybody knows of anybody, please let us know. You can let Kathy know, you can let me know, and I'll get the word back. But Kathy, have you heard any updates? Do you know if they've?
They're just saying it's the second position is something that could be split, like somebody wants to do weekends. It's 4 days. So it can be split up in any capacity, a retiree, somebody to supplement the retirement income, somebody who works Monday through Friday who wants to, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
on the weekends.
I think they even said they could actually split the hours daily, so
Yep.
only working a few hours each day.
Did they call the LPSA for this? Or are they calling us? If we run into someone,
Oh, no,
Spreading
I
this
would say
word.
LPSA, that's why I was saying Kathy, because Kathy's
Right.
very involved with LPSA.
What does this exactly entail?
it's the
Checking.
Boat launch.
That's
It's for the
monthly.
boat launches.
Okay,
LPSA added, the concern was, it's very busy at the marina, so that there was some addition at the marina, plus they only fund so many hours at the boat launch at Moffitt's, and this was to fill in some of those gaps. So that, you know, busy weekends at the marina, those guys are crazy running around. How about,
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a good thing, so if anybody knows of anybody, yeah, I would say.
An
contact
associated thing,
LPSA.
it's not exactly this, but you may be able to answer, which is, never, again, with COVID, you know, I don't know if people were voting more, I thought they were, but the thing outside of town, the boat cleaning thing,
Boat wash station.
did that get a lot of action?
I don't know what the exact numbers are, but. it
I
doesn't
can-
get-
I can get them
This
for you.
past,
Yeah, it
No,
didn't,
I-
it didn't go down,
more
let's
of
put it
a-
that way.
it went down,
I don't think it went
No.
down. I think there's just as many people voting coming through there.
right,
By the hours on the machine is what I'm basing it on. I
On
don't
the-
see
on the-
numbers
the
of
power
how many
washer,
votes
okay.
came through and so on and so forth. But the hours on the machine, it's been a pretty steady.
well,
number.
the way it ties to it here is you know, when we first got into a lot of these things, if people are complying with that on the comings and goings from out-of-town boats into our several lakes, it seemed like for a while, back in my time, the amount of problems that we were interdicting, we meaning our own lake stewards, were going down because folks were already complying, you know what I mean? If they're clean, coming in or going out, when these guys see them, in the beginning, there were some contentious things. Folks were coming from Lake Champlain and there was, you know, a horror movie on these boats. And you know, that, you haven't gotten the memo, but we can't allow you to get in. And we had to call, we had an Indian Lake Islands deal, we had to call the sheriff's in on. I think a lot of that has kind of gone away as people comply, right? So if that is getting used, which that's why I was concerned, I didn't see a lot there this past summer, maybe I was permitting. But if they're being used, it should be an easier job for our in-house LPSA. So
Okay.
spread the word, there's some part-time left.
Yeah, absolutely. So next is the, the thing that's driven Steffi crazy for the past week, and I don't blame her.
She should
The
be alone
standard
there.
workday. I sent everybody the information. The state has changed all their regulations. You would think that it would be just people that are in the retirement system, but it is not. It's everybody, even a part-time employee for the town, animal control officer, or a part-time building inspector that's not in the system. They want to know everybody. So therefore, we are changing the resolution to reestablish it. You want me to read the resolution, or has everybody, I guess I should, huh? A resolution to reestablish the standard workday for all employees of the town of Lake Pleasant as 6 hours for part-time and 8 hours for full-time for New York retirement purposes. Again, doesn't make sense, but
Zero.
whereas the Town of Lake Pleasant Town Board approves the reestablishment of the standard part-time and full-time workday as 8 hours for full-time and 6 hours for part-time for New York State retirement purposes. This includes the following employees as deputy clerk, town deputy court clerk, laborers, heavy and medium equipment operators, library director, and aides. It's all of them. So, on January 18th, we had passed the resolution, but we were told it was only for elected officials. And appointed and elected officials, and now we're finding out that no, the state changed it. Steph had to get back on the phone after submitting some stuff, and the treasurer's office informed us, yeah, that even though it sounds ridiculous, this is the way it is. So we had to change everything.
And I gave the clerk bad information months ago when she queried me about it. I said, no, that's not me, I'm out every time. You know, when I got out, I cashed out, I put back in, I don't care to. At this point, I'm gonna wanna fill something out for 9 hours a day, and see if the state retirement wants to pay me overtime for being.
We maxed 8.
Councilman.
We're maxed at 8.
Yeah, the max is 8. Don't be greedy here.
No,
Okay, Nance, go
I'm not
ahead.
getting anything from them anyway.
Go ahead.
Just a question, the people in the front office work 7-hour days.
Mm.
Are they considered part-time, because they're,
What do you think?
the
There's
town
only
always-
one.
The town always based it at six hours as full-time, because that would be a 30-hour work week, and that
Right.
is.
If you look at their instructions on that one sheet, it says that they want you to have a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 8. So even though these guys might work 16-hour days, the maximum is 8
Yeah.
for full-time, yeah, is what I'm getting from it. And this is all changed, Neil, this year.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's why the county is just
I
as
felt
confused
badly
as we
once
are.
I reread this recently, I thought, these,
So-
I was always under the impression that if you were an elected
Let's see
official,
what you're
but you were
getting at.
already out of the retirement system and not looking.
You work 7 hours.
Why do they care how many hours I'm thinking about being a
Almost
council?
full-time?
Well, and this is what doesn't make sense, they're not in the
No.
retirement system anyway, so why do they care what hours they're putting in? But they want them all.
Because they base
Average.
the work, when you get your get paid out in your retirement, they figure out what you,
But now there are
But
some
they're not in the
people who aren't
retirement
in the
system.
retirement system.
yeah.
It
Steve
makes-
is not in the retirement.
makes no
system.
They're
sense.
just nosy.
There
yeah.
you go.
I'm not in the town retirement system.
Of course, I mean,
A lot of people are.
municipal government is rife with folks who are not. This is the most overreaching nonsense. And I challenge any of our elected officials in Albany, if any one of them works 6 hours a day, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah, and the only question I would have then with that, by saying that, would that do something to like Faith's retirement because she works a 35-hour week?
Faith said
or-
7 hours.
It says here that all clerical workers are 7.5 hours.
Faith said she worked 7, right?
Yeah, and Roxanne works a 30-hour week. So, no, I was just curious, because I used to do this, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
why I'm.
Roxanne is
I should
credited
just
with
shut up.
6 hours,
Even though that's
day.
not true.
and Sherry is 8 hours. But it is crazy, but anyway.
We
So,
can
now that
tweak
we've
those, we can change those.
Whatever makes
Now that
them
we've had
happy.
the discussion, is there any further discussion? I mean, there's nothing we're gonna do to change this. This is the way they want it. We have no choice
Whatever
but
makes
to
them
do
happy.
it. So we have to do it. So I'm looking for a motion to move forward with this and approve this amended resolution. Okay? A second?
Second.
You just had to do that.
I didn't want to second it, I gotta say it. I would like to add in my half part, if it was possible. I want you to be able to read it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is committee reports. Randy, any committee reports?
No.
Stephanie, any committee reports? No, okay. Kathy? And
We do.
Michelle?
Yeah,
I knew you
we
did.
met with Samantha today, DeRozier's, who is the head of the youth rec program, and just kind of ran over some information about her plans for summer and kind of gave her a little bit of feedback on the schedule she had set out, and
She's gonna readjust things and then send it to us.
Good,
So,
great,
good start.
good,
yeah, she's got a pretty good looking schedule set so far, and
nice.
we had a little bit of feedback for a couple of the trips, but she seemed open to advice, and she's looking at prices for certain trips right now, and
Great.
just trying to get that all nailed down so we can get it to the kids early.
Thank you guys so much. You're doing a great job. You really have that communication open, it's really good. Anything else? Neil?
Not anything else?
Okay. Don?
I would just like to get together with, the grounds and the building committee and kind of go over things now that spring is on the horizon. And things that we think need to be done or should be done and can be scheduled in.
Buildings would be Randy and you.
And Neil, right?
Well, buildings do.
I know I'm on highway, I'm,
I think you're on buildings also,
okay. Well, in that vein,
any day but tomorrow.
I was there to,
I'm retired, so whenever.
yeah,
it's
tomorrow's not good for me either, Wednesday's fine, but, I was
Wednesday
at the
afternoon.
town hall to sign the bills earlier this weekend. Nice, it looks like we've broken ground.
Yep,
And they were here again today working.
he'll be back again Saturday.
He's trying to do it when town hall's closed,
Sure.
not
Yeah.
getting away.
What is being done?
The front,
We're knocking down the town hall, and you didn't know.
Yeah, we're building a new one.
All that brick on the front?
you know,
Oh, good, a train station.
Getting rid of,
around the flagpole is going to be drastically changed.
You mean that elevated mushroom hump there is gonna be
Yeah.
gone?
Correct.
And the flower beds right in front of the building.
My mud
Good stuff
bed,
that
it's my
was started
mud
last year.
bed.
You know how we put these sidewalks in last year?
Yeah,
Now they are going to landscape around that.
Kind of what you did here, they're gonna kind
Excellent.
of work on that.
good.
And then when they get the perimeter set, we'll grass seed the rest of it. Originally, they wanted us to grass seed the whole thing and then they'll just go in, I'm like, this is
That's,
backwards. We'll wait till next spring and when you get that done, then we'll grass seed the rest of it.
This was stuff that got started last year and then was put off till the cement went in. So this is
And that was
in
late,
stages.
and that
Done.
was late.
Right,
Yeah.
and the flagpole won't fall over if that,
No, that flagpole has a concrete foundation.
Was it ever?
Yeah, there's gotta be.
And then looking at Town Hall to the left, the rock wall
Don-
there.
that
Don
used to be
McDonald.
so beautifully
Yeah, yeah,
landscaped with
Redoing all
blocks.
that. In the
John-
fall,
yeah,
John,
actually, I
in
think
the
it's
fall,
sand.
he dug out a lot of stuff that was in front of Town
Wasn't it a big hole
Hall
and then
and
we filled it with
transplanted
sand,
it
you know?
up there so that we didn't lose
Oh,
it
good.
when they were doing the
Dug it out
sidewalks.
and there's like a big
So now he's,
pyramid of concrete.
Excellent.
since you came in,
Formed up.
we agreed about a month ago that he's gonna maintain it for the summer.
Yes.
Just to be sure that the plants, everything
Because of the
takes hold
perennials,
and-
yes. Takes, yes, I
So
remember that
that's the
discussion.
excitement, it's gonna look nice.
So even though I didn't know I was on the committee, I did have something to do.
Okay. Okay, so Don, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, next is, a motion to pay the bills,
So,
I,
okay,
second with discussion.
okay, yeah, okay, discussion.
I'm concerned about a mileage fee that keeps turning up. Or,
Turning up and is starting to be appreciable.
yes,
Well, I'll be honest, in January, Kathy, when you asked me what it was, I did address it in the office and said that I go to the bank every day in the post office, that I am more than willing to do it. And it did stop for a little bit. And now it has started again. I ask, and you need me to pick up the mail, you need me, to go to the bank. On salary, so it's not costing the taxpayers any more money, but an hourly employee, and I understand if she's gotta use her own car, but I had also put a copy of the resolution with the paperwork that was back in 2008, and yes, it was approved to pay the employee mileage, but it says from time to time, not on a daily basis.
And this was, that resolution is dealing with a lot of other employees that go to and fro. It was not specific to picking up
Okay.
the mundane, the mail pickup. So that would include your, at that time, Vicky, assessor, so on, and that would include the building inspectors, et cetera. So you wanted to have that in there and then tied to what we usually did, tie it to the county, which is then federal reimbursement per mile. This, I don't think we need to change that resolution a bit. All we need to do is readjust how we go about the normal days in the office, and that's something you can set up at your discretion, but suffice it to say, one phone call and I'll pick them up.
Okay, like I said, I go every day. I go up to the county probably 4 days a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day between checks and bills, dropping off bills, picking up checks, dropping off pink slips, all this stuff. So I'm constantly going back and forth between this post office or Speculator, and even Steph goes to Speculator and the post office. So if Steph is out or I'm out, and say I'm out and Steph is busy, that's one thing
That's
here and
as
there.
needed. That's
As
as
needed, but not on a daily basis. And honestly, I thought it had stopped. It slipped right past me last month, I thought. And it slipped past Kathy, and then she looked up in her records and she informed me today that last month it was $79 and change. So it has to stop.
Yeah, we can't afford to have a $1,000 accrual and expense that's baked into a budget for that one thing. We have to multitask more than that.
Okay, so My
That
question,
said, I have no problem with paying
this one,
the bills that are on the pension,
okay,
which is why I moved.
okay. And you want me to discuss this with Faith? I mean, she's not talking to me anyway at this point, so.
I think it's more of a discussion as from here going forward, we won't need you to get the mail. I mean, it's as simple as that. If Stephanie's going, if you're going, if you wanna call me, you can't bake that in. That I think has a terrible look to it.
I do too. Okay. Okay, so I will take care of that. I will
Straightforward.
take care of that tomorrow, okay?
Yep.
So, there's no further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll take care of that
Bills will be
tomorrow.
paid, and relation to the rest.
Okay,
Did you pass the budget papers down?
next public comment. Okay?
Oh, you gotta
You can't
be.
be
She's gotta be
you
tired.
can't be an insider and be public.
Yeah,
I just wanted to thank you for letting me speak. It feels so uncomfortable to sit here. I wanna go and,
Yep.
you know, it's
different.
It's quite a transition, and I appreciate you allowing
So in
my
4 years,
input.
she's gonna run again when Neil
You-
retires.
You are, boy,
Oh,
let's
yes.
lock that in right now. That's, in this case, I was only, half kidding. I think in discussions of things having anything to do with our bills or this or that, you're still very much,
Part of the team.
You're the budget officer.
part-time
You're
budget.
part of the
She's the
team.
budget officer.
That's right. You have a unique situation.
So did you have anything else, or you just wanted to
No,
say
that
thank
was
you?
just it. I appreciate it. Don said it's been too quiet, so.
Well, I have it in our neighborhood.
Eileen, do you have anything?
There's always parties.
Yeah, now you've made it, so now I have to put all those cookies I bake in baggies so they're ready to go.
Sorry. Okay, so, roundtable, Randy, anything for roundtable?
No, I think it's gonna be discussed.
You want to start somewhere else?
Or somewhere else, let's go.
The gentleman roundtable.
I know I'm working on it.
Okay.
I was just wondering what the budget was for paper clips.
They were all in a row.
I see, I use them all the time.
Steals them from the county like
Five.
I got a
There's no
bucket
big
from the
set.
county. I opened up my mouth and said, we gotta get some of these paper clips back, and they delivered me a margarine dish.
You're lucky, you
Of paper.
piss Tracy off, you back it up.
Yeah, that's all I.
That's it,
Nothing.
Neil, nothing?
No, bless it.
Okay, Michelle?
I talked enough tonight.
Okay. Go ahead, Steph.
I threw this to the side after getting the mail today because it said honorable. But it says Honorable Stephanie Smith, and when I looked up here to see who it was from, it's from another town clerk, which I had to laugh. I thought that was funny. And it is a scholarship for the Clerks Association that I've sent in all that information for. So
Yay.
You got
the
it?
town doesn't have to pay $640
That's good news.
worth. I just have to sign the bottom line and send it back, and I have to go for the whole thing. I can't leave early,
Yep, that's
or
fine.
I gotta
Great
go
news.
Sunday through
Congratulations.
Wednesday. So
Where is
Wonderful.
this?
it's gonna be down at I think it's at the Desmond. Yeah, Desmond in Albany. Yep.
Nice place.
Yeah.
Notary class. I'm signed up for that.
Very nice.
So I can't take the test there though.
That's good.
They
Okay.
changed
Well,
that.
Good for you.
Wonderful.
Couple months in, you already got a scholarship.
Yeah,
Great.
it's good.
That's absolutely great.
I've got one of those in a while.
Kudos to the clerk.
So,
Yes, I'll move.
the first thing is I had brought up how everybody felt about supervisor and highway superintendent 4-year terms. I've done some research on that, and what I understand, I spoke with the Board of Elections, and basically what it amounts to is the board would discuss it, the board would pass it, approve it, and then our attorney would write up a resolution. And then once the attorney writes up that resolution goes up to Board of Elections, and it goes on the ballot, and the taxpayers vote on it. So it's not on the board to make a decision, it's up to the taxpayers.
That's a referendum. Right.
Yes.
Permissive referendum, this is something, if we're changing terms of elected, has to go before a public referendum. And our first movement is for us to move it along to our lawyer. I'll just go on, I think I've said it here before, go on record as the good government is better with 4-year terms. I've seen it as a trustee, a mayor, supervisor, and now a council person. I gotta say, one of the best things about being a council person is the 4-year term. Because you're not constantly concerning yourself about politicking, and you're more concerned about doing governance for your community. So for superintendents and supervisors to be at 2, and when the rest of the governing body is at 4, seems out of whack.
Right. And with 2 years, you're just getting settled in before you've got it running.
With every new one,
Yeah.
but a new one, it's, you really just got your feet going.
I mean, really, I look at it that Steph is 4 years and you guys are all 4 years.
Sure.
And I'm only 2 and he's 2. And I just see that I'm really just comfortable now. And if I don't have an answer, I know where to go for that answer. But it took me 2 years to get to this point. So I just think for future people coming in, I think it would be very helpful for them. They're not concentrating on the election, they're concentrating on their job.
And going
Learning
to the conferences like the Association of Towns or the Conference of Mayors and so on, when you speak to folks, it's really become the norm. I mean, the majority has flipped over to 4-year terms. Even in our own county, several of the towns have already done this
Yeah.
with supervisor and superintendent terms.
So that's just food for thought. We're not making any decisions or anything tonight. I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I think that's something I'd like to address at the next meeting.
Next
I'll have
meeting.
a resolution for it.
Next meeting's gonna be busy. Okay.
Just a reminder, I won't be here.
I know, you won't be here, neither will staff. Okay,
Vegas? No.
Not again.
okay. So I just want to make a mention that we are registered for the 2020 census for the town and the Consolidated Health District. I did complete the Consolidated Health one, which was easy because there's no employees. But the town one, on the other hand, I still have to break down employees by job description, full-time, part-time, elected, appointed, and salaries. So we have until April 26th to complete this, so I will keep you informed and let you know that it will be done by the 26th. Building inspector, Steve has completed his first week of training. He has been pretty busy in the office with building permits, COs, and a very busy phone. He's really doing a great job, and he's just so optimistic and so happy.
Good to hear. I
It-
mean, it's good to
it's
hear
great,
that
it's
April is
great.
already perking up for
Yep.
permits.
Bob stops in maybe once every week and a half, just to
Okay.
say, hey, how's it going, Steve, you need any help? I just wanna thank Bob because he did complete and he filed the annual report with the state, which had to be done by April 1st. But he knew Steve wouldn't have time to do it because he started his training already, so he didn't wanna burden him with that. So that's taken care of and that's already,
Wonderful. What a nice
great.
thing.
It's great. Okay, Nancy's been working on the American Rescue Plan, trying to get prepared for the first treasurer's report. And just to remind you, in 2021, we received $21,399.75. And this coming summer, year to date, we will be receiving the same amount, the second 50%. By April 30th, we'll be working on this together in about a little over a week. The first treasurer's report has to be in, and basically we haven't spent any money, so it's just the basic, this is what we have, we didn't spend anything, this is what our balance is, and that's it. So that's where we are with the ARPA money. There's a free rabies clinic starting April 21st in Wells at the ambulance building from 10 to 12. The Hamilton County Nursing Agency is putting that on. The Village Fire Tower, they're really doing a great job trying to raise money. And I gave everybody a pamphlet here. They're looking for support. They've really done a great job. They have to raise $50-some thousand. They have all these different sponsorships. The way I understand it, the very top of the tower, they have They have like 3 out of 5 people that donated already, and that was 2,500 a spot. I think that's what she said. Maybe they have 4 out of 5, but, I mean, it was like right away. People are donating. So they're doing all different kinds of things, like a step. To sponsor a step is $300 per step. The 37 of the 42 are still available. The landing sponsorship, $1,500 per landing, 5 out of 10 are still available. And the top cabin is a $5,000, and 1 out of 4 is still available, that's it. $5,000 donations. Kiosk sponsor is $2,500, they have 3 out of 4 available. Donations of any size are welcome. This is really a great flyer that they put together, so really, they're doing a great job. Kudos to the village.
They'll have no
Working
trouble
very, very hard.
where they are
No.
in the scheme of things.
Yep.
And as usual, when you're near that home stretch and you still need money, when the foundation for this thing goes in and people see that a reality forming up, they'll make it easier.
Yep. And the speculator 4th of July will be Saturday, July 2nd. This year's theme is wildlife in the ADK. That interpretation is left up to you, what you consider to be wild. So all the information is here.
And the 4th of July Parade Committee is always looking for volunteers.
Continue on. You know more than me on
That's it,
this.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put
So,
me wherever.
yep, okay. Our next meeting will be Monday, April 18th. At this meeting, we will be having a public hearing for the local law number 1 of 2008, which is an amendment, and we will also be opening up the bids for our stone and sand, which will be with the, piggybacking with the county on that. So it's gonna be a busy meeting next time, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Wait a second.
Second.
Happy?
Aye.
Okay. See you guys on the 18th.
Good.
I know.
My husband's probably like,